Clearwater, Florida. And no, this is not live action at this moment. A couple of extra practice shots yet to go for Lisa Wagner, loosening up and bowling out of the number 3 position. Let's get back to game number 1, Leila. Cheryl Daniels, a solid victory over a quality player in Donna Adamek, and that's got to add to her confidence here in game 2.
Oh, definitely, Denny. Once you get that first game out of the way, you just breathe a sigh of relief, and you come out and you feel a lot better going into the second game.
Lisa Wagner from Palmetto, Florida, and just to give you an idea what her record is down in this part of the country, it's unbelievable. She finished second in the 1980 Clearwater tournament. She lost to Betty Morris in that one. Was fourth in the LPBT's 1982 Clearwater tournament. Second in the LPBT's 1982 tournament in Bradenton, Florida. Then a third-place finish in '83 in Clearwater. And she won the LPBT event in '84. So does she like to bowl in this portion of Florida? Yeah, I think so.
Well, definitely the hometown favorite. She sure had the crowd behind her this week.
Cheryl Daniels starts on the left-hand lane. In game number 2, she defeated Donna Adamek 196-191 in the opening match. Donna finishing up the week in 5th place and collecting a check worth $1,500. Good quick start. Nice professional shot in the opening frame for Cheryl.
Like I said, the second match a little bit more comfortable, maybe a little more aggressive. She's got 1 match out of the way. She only has 3 more left.
First offering from the current player of the year, and what else? A strike for Lisa Wagner.
And I tell you, she may be the player to beat here tonight, Denny. Watching her practice, she almost couldn't miss. She's playing very direct, right around the 10th to 12th board, and not much swing, so she's not going to get in the trouble that we saw Donna and Cheryl get in, where they sent the ball a little too far right and it didn't make it back.
Match play record, 15 wins, 9 losses this week. Made a nice move this morning to solidify her position. The number 3 slot, trying to double up quickly, lots of speed, and oh my, quick double for Lisa Wagner.
And a characteristic of Lisa's game is if she gets in trouble, she just starts throwing it harder. So we'll watch for that as the game goes on.
And I think the key for her, Leila, is the harder she throws, she still is able to get the ball to hit in the back end, and that's something that most of the lady professionals can't do. Hop at the line, 10-pin leads, but the 7-pin solid, and tough break there as well.
See a look at Cheryl's game. Starts the ball very low, a 4-step approach, and here's where she brings the ball. Very strong through the legs. Look at the cupped wrist.
Powerful player, and at the very last moment picks off the 7, much to her chagrin. Yeah, she took a look back at that one.
A little raised eyebrow shot on that one.
A little nonchalant with that 7, but there you see, career 300s, no titles. Finished second 3 times thus far in her career, so she's had opportunities to win. Slow up a little bit with her speed on the left-hand lane as she leaves the 610.
Definitely speed, an important factor here this week, as well as tonight.
Leila, does your philosophy, your strategy change when you bowl Lisa Wagner as compared to maybe somebody else on the tour?
Well, I think you better come out and be aggressive and put any type of pressure on her quick. You don't want to open up against her because she's going to jump right all over you, especially when she opens up with a double and looking very strong.
All right. Does she intimidate people, especially when she comes out and starts with a double?
I think so, Denny. You know, she's just got too many titles. There you see 22 career titles to not intimidate players.
Trying to stay perfect through 3 frames, and those are all 3 carbon copy strikes.
She just has, a textbook style, Denny. great push away, great arm swing, and she just doesn't get into trouble too much. She's able to overcome so many conditions. The only time she really gets in trouble is if there's a lot of oil, to where her ball speed actually gets her in trouble.
She pulled it a touch and got away with it as the 4 and the 7 collide. So through 4 frames, Lisa Wagner right now is perfect, and she leads by 32 pins here in game number 2 of the Ebonite Thunderbolt Classic. When she gets off to that kind of a start, she's pretty difficult to handle. So we'll be back with more of game number 2 from Clearwater, Florida, right after this. 5th frame action. Cheryl Daniels with a solid strike in the 4th, trying to double up and climb back into the match. Nice shot.
Great shot there, and only frame she really threw a bad shot was in the 3rd, where she went a little high, a little soft, and left the 610.
This is a bit of a turnaround during match play this week. Cheryl Daniels defeated Lisa Wagner 277 to 158. Pin action not quite enough to take out the 7, so Lisa's string stops in the 5th.
Little lighter there. You're not quite sure if she made the adjustment off going high and tripping up that 4-7. That could have been a thought in her mind here. You can see there the ball hitting light, the head pin going against the wall, but actually not doing enough damage to get the 7 out.
And I got mixed up with a 4-pin that time, but nevertheless a 21-pin lead. You know, Lisa has already won this year. She captured the Lady LaMode Open in Fullerton, California, for career title number 22. She is currently 2nd on the LPBT's, or to make that first now on the all-time money-winning list, with better than $311,000. She and Aleta Sill are within about $500 of each other. So if they get to the championship game, it's for the bragging rights as well.
I'd like to be in those bragging rights.
I'd like to have to worry about paying those taxes, wouldn't you? Half hit this time, and the 10-pin stands.
That was a very powerful shot, Denny. When you see the 6-pin blow to the right like that and the 5-pin blow to the left, that's an example of the power that she creates in the back end.
Some very proficient numbers there in the television pair. She obviously posted the highest television average this week of our 5 finalists. Uh-oh. Don't see that happen very often out of Lisa Wagner. Now let's find out if Cheryl Daniels can take advantage of the situation. She trails by 9. If she strikes here, she takes the lead.
Great opportunity here for Cheryl.
Thus far, and still no smile from Cheryl Daniels.
Oh, she smiled a little bit, Denny, when she walked back. You have to off of that hit. She was a little soft, not quite getting the turn on the ball, but that head pin did the work for her. Watch it here as you're going to see the head pin come off the wall. Oh, it wasn't the head pin.
Got deflected, but its partner did the trick, and she comes up with a marvelous shot on lane 11. And out of nowhere now, she takes the lead by 11. She trailed by 21 just a couple of minutes ago. This one's turned around. We'll be back with a final right after this. Clutch strike in the 7th for Lisa Wagner, and now this match is nearly even.
I tell you, I'm very impressed with Cheryl's performance as she came up after that break and just crunched the pocket.
Lisa for the lead on the left hand lane. The 2-pin, the last to stand.
Giving a little bit more room, and it just didn't make it back.
she's still, I think, lamenting the miss of the 10-pin and the 6. That's what really swung the door wide open for Cheryl Daniels.
It sure did, and it's something you don't usually see out of Lisa Wagner. She actually throws the ball so hard and straight at everything that she doesn't have that opportunity to miss too many 10-pins.
Well, Lisa Wagner with a career best of 59 wins, 33 losses, and 1 tie in the championship round. One of the finest championship round players in the history of women's professional bowling, but she's made the mistake here thus far this evening. Let's see if Cheryl Daniels can continue to strike here in the 8th. Oh my, slowed up on the speed a touch in the big 4, and doesn't that throw a monkey wrench into this match?
I can tell you how Cheryl Daniels is feeling right now. She has the match in hand. She just wants to be careful, actually, you know, make sure she gets it to the pocket, not send it too far right. But she, like you said, a little slow with the speed, and the ball just overreacted. And there's the big 4.
And she'll have to settle for the 8 count, and that turns the momentum of this match back into the favor of Lisa Wagner, who on the bench ends up now with a 7-pin lead.
Cheryl definitely needing to bounce back from that open frame with a strike here in the 9th.
Well, if she would strike out, it would be a game of 230. Might not be enough. Never ceases to amaze me. She bounces right back and throws a great shot. What happens? Is it difficult to judge your ball speed, Leila, in the championship round? Do you always feel like you're throwing it about the same speed?
Actually, Denny, it always feels like you're throwing it slower than you are. I don't know why that is. For some reason, you're the only 2 players, the center of attention, and it just doesn't seem like you're throwing it that hard.
Well, now in a great position to seize the match right now, Lisa Wagner in the 9th. Well, the 8 and the 10 thought about it for a moment. Both went down. I think Lisa also thinking about that late 10-pin.
I think Lisa actually realizing when she released this ball, you can feel whether you really get enough rotation on it or not. And as you can see here, she kind of pats her head when she left the 8-10. Oh, my.
That velocity, though, we talked about, fast enough to still knock them down. Enough speed at impact. Oh, she didn't like it when she let it go and got a break that she didn't end up with a washout.
Very quick here with the timing, Denny. Just really fast ahead of the ball, causing the ball to go way off to the right.
Now you could see the moment that ball came off her hand, it did not have the turn and the leverage on it that the other shots had had. Business at hand, spare up and get as many as you can. If she would strike, it would be a game of 217. Which would put Cheryl Daniels in a position where she would need to strike at least on the first shot in the 10th to capture the match.
Lisa could be feeling a little bit of pressure here, being in hometown with her parents behind her and a lot of friends and family. You really want to perform well in front of them.
Sometimes it's almost too much. You get a little too juiced up, right?
Mm-hmm.
She made a couple of mistakes and paid dearly for them. The wall shot leaves the 5. So a solid effort of 216, but that might not be enough to beat Cheryl Daniels. But as a player, Leila, now Cheryl knows exactly what she has to do to win.
This is in Cheryl's hands right now. If she strikes on this ball, she can virtually win this match. A lot more ball speed, very aggressive. I think she finally told herself, hey, I'm going to throw this one just as good as I can. just crunched that pocket.
Best shot of the week for Cheryl Daniels. Keep in mind now she needs 8 to wrap things up. It ought to be a little easier after the big strike. How about 2 in a row? Boy, some clutch bowling for Cheryl Daniels. We'll have to see whether this win can propel her into a semifinal game victory over Tish Johnson, maybe into a championship. I don't know.
I really think that this game is definitely giving her the confidence to move on and say, hey, I can win this tournament.
Well, I think any time you beat a player the caliber of a Lisa Wagner in a heads-up match where you have to strike, it has to give you confidence. Plus, it's another game on the championship pair to kind of hone your skills a little bit and get a feel for the championship round pair. A 230 to 216 victory for Cheryl Daniels. A nice round of applause for Lisa Wagner from nearby Palmetto. Coming up next, Tish Johnson, Cheryl Daniels.
Great run at the show this afternoon. She almost made it.
Dinah Wheeler with the game of the tournament. Had the first 11, shot 297.
Yours truly in 14.
Not too bad. Betty Morris 19th. The winner last week, Diana Davenport, was 17th. As there you look on down the line. Cindy Coburn, the alternate this week.
We paid 32 places. We had 96 entries this week, a full house. Every spot was filled.
And only 3 players left. Cheryl Daniels, Tish Johnson, and the top seed, Aleta Sill. And through 2 games, Cheryl Daniels averaging 213 on the championship pair. She started quickly in both matches, and this time the 6 kind of curls around the 10 on the left-hand lane.
Good shot there. The 6-pin just finishing a little hard, throwing around the 10. Actually, Cheryl's raised her television average now from 213 to what used to be 195. So.
Well, you'd have to think at this point, too, Leila, that after a tough win over Donna Adamek, a real tough victory over Lisa Wagner, that maybe Cheryl's beginning to think that this just might be her night.
With a break like the 10-pin, we saw her trip out. You bet she's thinking that way now.
Tish Johnson with a high average in the tournament, but she ended up 2nd overall. Comes out of the gate and throws it right through the nose, and you will see this young lady all over the approach this evening.
Definitely an emotional player. Here, a good look at Tish's game. Once again, a 5-step approach. She actually carries the ball to her first 2 steps. Very powerful again. Most of the women out here, strong legs. Giving that ball some room as it came flying back in about the last 10 feet.
Just playing the gray board out there, but converts the 2-4-7. A little sigh of relief, too. As I look at her now, she's a fun player to watch. Got the Masters green on here this evening, right?
That's right. And she had a lot of fans back here rooting for her. She pretty much had the lead throughout most of the tournament and gave it up in the last game to Aleta Sill to qualify 2nd.
Playing the edge one more time, and as I talked to Tish before the telecast, she told me that without question the championship pair a little tighter than they were earlier today when they bowled the final round of match play.
Actually, Denny, talking to Keith, our lane maintenance man this afternoon, he told me that the lanes have not been stripped. They have not been stripped all week. The heads were sprayed, and it is very heavy oil to 24 feet, oiled both down and back. Gutter to gutter as well. So the track area is playing for the right-handers, the outside playing a little bit more for the left-handers.
So the miscue and the miss in the 2nd of the 1-3-6-8, and now Cheryl Daniels leads by 16, and a double here would go a long way for her. Step, and a split jumps up in frame number 2, so both players having problems early on in the semifinal game.
You know, it was lane 11 that we saw in the first match, giving both Cheryl and Donna the problem, and as it's turned out now, lane 12 has jumped up and bitten Cheryl here.
She left the big 4, and Now another split. It seems like, oh my, then doesn't get any count at all. So a little bit of a mental blackout for Cheryl Daniels there. You can't ever give away 2 pins count.
No, you don't want to do that. That actually just tied the match right up, and she could have had that 2-pin lead. And anything can happen the next 8 frames.
Pretty obvious if she slows up with ball speed at all on lane 12, it's through the nose. Well, she's bouncing back past. Excellent shot there. Leaves the solid 4. Let me ask you this, Leila. Strategy change, more pressure to win a semi-final game than, say, a game number 3?
That's possible, Denny. And also the lanes could be changing a little bit now. We've had 3 right-handed players bowling on that side, and her shot could be changing. She needs to make those adjustments and make them quick.
Seems to have a little problem with the approach. She is stuck on the last couple of shots, and I know she's got the perforated sliding shoe. Maybe she needs to do a little work on that.
When you can't get your footing right, Denny, it definitely makes for some bad execution.
There's nothing worse than not knowing if you're going to slip or stick. Tish Johnson bouncing the moment she let that one go, and she strikes in the 3rd, and that was an important shot for her.
Yes, it was. Taking over the lead here, actually, with a strike. Plus also a little confident. She made the adjustment from leaving the 2-4-7 on that lane before. She says, hey, I made my adjustment and it worked. Like you said, we did see her all over the lane, didn't we?
She was galloping into the sunset there. If she likes it, she'll let you know. Oh my. Well, the 6-pin stands. That could have been a 6-7, so she'll take what she can get with a 9 count.
Missing the head pin on her last attempt on lane 11. She does make the adjustment, and the ball coming in just a little bit high this time. She really got the break there when the 7-pin toppled at the last minute.
So cross lane for the spare for Tish Johnson. And we're all tied at even Steven here in the early stages of the semifinal game. Whoever wins this one has the opportunity to bowl for the title against Aleta Sill. And we're back live. Cheryl Daniels in the 4th. Match evened up. Wide of the swishing 7-10, a shot that you're familiar with. You left a couple of them in the championship round last week.
They're definitely no fun.
Why do you leave them, Leila?
Actually, the ball's coming in a little wide, like you said, a little light. It doesn't quite have enough power to throw the 5 into the 7. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. And then you're actually leaving a weak 10 at the same time. Let
me ask you this. Does the carry-down effect have anything to do with the way the ball reacts in the last 10 feet?
Oh, definitely. As the carry-down happens throughout the tournament or throughout the evening, the ball is reacting less and less in the back end. As you can see here what happens. The 6-pin's going to lay in the channel. The 5-pin's going to not quite have enough power as it just turns and turns and turns and doesn't take out the 7. A real light and weak hit this particular 7-10 was. Some can be very powerful.
She gives away the pin and count, so she's already lost 3 pins to count in the semifinal game, and then up jumps a real disaster there as the 2-8-4-10, and this one can be made, but it doesn't happen very often.
No, we saw Donna pick up the 2-4-10. However, that sleeper 8-pin can definitely give you the problem.
Here you saw Cheryl looking up to the heavens, wondering what it takes to win the semifinal game and perhaps her first championship. She's got her work cut out for her now. Gave it a good run, but 8 and out, and this one's turned around considerably. Tish Johnson, sitting on the bench, has taken a 26-pin lead.
And Tish Johnson is not the type of player you want to give a 26-pin lead to either. She will jump on it.
Struck the last time off his light hit, and no X this time for Tish Johnson.
She did strike on this lane last time, so realistically she could have got a good read.
Tish averaged 226.5 on the championship pair throughout the match play portion in this one.
Actually, a very difficult spare conversion here with the sleeper 9-pin. Oh, she almost didn't make it. Came back a little safe sign there.
That is a difficult spare, isn't it? Anytime you've got a pin behind another one, you really have to make sure that you've covered it cleanly.
As you can see here, the ball just barely taking the 9-pin there.
Close shave there, huh?
Timber.
Spare up in the 5th. She leads by 24. And this is a match that's kind of up in the air at this stage. Johnson cuts through the nose, leaves the 4-7.
Well, Tish actually looking lost. As you can see here, she has hit the pocket one time. She's been all over the place other than that. Yet Cheryl, with the combination of the carry down and actually possibly the pressure, has not been able to come through.
It was kind of a tough afternoon for Tish Johnson, who was the tournament leader as we headed into the position round game, and she throws this one in the channel. So both of these players struggling just to get to the finish line, let alone win the match, as now it's a 10-pin lead as Tish Johnson, with her antics, having a little fun here, but right now she's got to be feeling a little bit low. Back at him, and finally her first strike of the match comes in the 6th.
Cheryl tightening up her line again, and also her ball speed. When she left the 7-10, she let it out a little too wide. There you can see she's played more direct, the ball not going out quite as far to the right before making the break back. And she stayed down with that shot, and a little reaction there.
Well, she liked it. She'd like to strike again on the left-hand lane.
This one puts her right back in it. Looking for the carry, and she does carry the light hit.
Yeah, a little bit of a wall shot. So this one now back to even Steven, which is where we were after 4 frames. And so things at this point in time really starting to get interesting here in Clearwater, Florida. Cheryl Daniels bouncing back with a clutch double in the 7th. We'll be back with a conclusion right after this. Well, after the big double in the 6th and the 7th for Cheryl Daniels, this match is tied up. Tish Johnson with some work to do here in the 7th. Really not getting the kind of reaction that she had throughout most of the week.
No, Denny, we were talking about in the break, when you have been sending the ball a little to the left for a left-hander, like Tish has been doing all week, to tighten that up and go a little bit more direct with your arm swing, takes a little time to do it. You need more than just one game or 20 minutes of practice. You've been doing one thing for 42 games, and now all of a sudden it's a little bit different. Lanes are a little bit tighter, like we mentioned, for both sides.
Tish saluting herself for picking up the spare on lane 12. Let me ask you this, Leila. At this point in time, rather than change your swing or your speed, mightn't you go to some different equipment that would be a little softer?
Possibly, since she is really not getting the reaction. Her ball's in a definite slide before it makes the break. I would try anything at this point, except she could be just playing safe. She knows what this ball's going to do, and she's trying to make it work. That's the old school.
That's right, making the adjustments either with speed or with target or where your feet are. I guess the contemporary players more so seem to go right to the paddock area and start pulling out bowling balls till they get the right reaction.
And at times that can actually hurt you too.
You can get very confused up there as well. I know one thing right now, she's in a heap of trouble because she leaves back-to-back 1-3-9s, and when a professional does that, they do not have good ball reaction. She misses now, opens up in the 8th, so really a subpar performance for Tish Johnson, who's really struggling at this point, fighting the lanes rather than being able to make the adjustments. It's easy to say from up here, but Cheryl Daniels now leading by 15 could extend it to a 25-pin advantage if she strikes. buzzing here at Rainbow Lanes. What looked like a solid shot ends up in an 8-10.
I tell you what, Denny, this is either an off-spotted pin here, because she threw that ball very well. Watch the 5-pin. Supposed to take out the 8. It goes in front of the 8, and the 10-pin just wobbled. And
in disbelief, Cheryl Daniels. So she opts to get the count, picks up the 8-pin, and as we head into the 9th frame, it's a 1-pin game, 114 to 113.
Well, it is an exciting match, a low-scoring one, but an exciting one.
Well, last week's championship game between Diana Davenport and Jeannie Maiden wasn't a high-scoring affair, but both players doubled in the 10th.
Hey, if nobody wants it, I'll take it.
Well, looks too much like Morse code out there right now with all the dots and the dashes. Not exactly what you're opting for. Let's see what Cheryl comes up with here in the 9th.
She really threw a great shot there in the 8th, Denny. That could have given her 4 in a row right now. She does have the better shot of the 2 players. Let's see what kind of adjustment Tish makes here. She's missed the head pin. Her last 2 attempts.
Make it 3, and she leaves the washout.
I am really surprised that she hasn't made a drastic move with her feet. I mean, once you miss it 1, she's saying to herself, I move this way and it hooks, and I move that way and it doesn't. But I haven't seen her move far enough left yet to where the ball really hooked through the nose.
The ball is breaking late, very late for her. As you see, she made the adjustments to try to make the washout. Still can't get the ball to the right side of the head pin. So disaster strikes one more time for Tish Johnson. And yep, Cheryl, this could be the night for you to get to the championship game despite what you've done here in the semifinal. Aleta Sill now off camera, making her way to the championship pair, wondering, geez, what do I need, 190 to win this title?
Between the 2 left-handed players out here, I think we're going to see a definite change when Aleta comes out. Aleta has a lot less ball speed than Tish. And earlier today, this is where Tish lost her lead to Aleta, was that her ball speed was actually too much for the left-handers. Whereas on the right side, you needed the ball speed.
She has seen this conversion before. This time covers it successfully. So if she strikes, it's 141. Not a pretty sight.
No, and Tish very disappointed with this attempt.
Tish with 5 career victories and bowled very, very well here this week. And as you said, came within 1 game of leading this event. And I think she felt like this was going to be career victory number 6, but doesn't look like it's going to happen here. Way out to the 1 or 2 board, back in 9 count. 140 is the game, and believe me, if you know Tish Johnson like I do, she's going to have a long, long night remembering this one. On the other side of the stick now, there you see graphically what Cheryl Daniels needs. Had to strike to beat Lisa Wagner. This is going to be a little easier. Shot. So when Cheryl Daniels has been pressed tonight, Leila, she's delivered.
She really has, and I think this is a definite change in her mental attitude. It's also has to give her the confidence to go into this final match. Look here, what clutch shot this was. But I tell you what, it doesn't look a whole lot different than that 8-10 she left.
It really doesn't. That was a horrible break for her that came in the 8th. Really, it would have been a 5-bagger if she doesn't leave the 8-10. Trying to finish up on Tish Johnson here as Tish ends up with 2,000 in a 3rd place finish, and Cheryl Daniels is going to move on now to the championship game for the 4th time in her career.
Tish's sponsors, Linda and Charlie Kinsler, and Bernie Whitlock will get a piece of that $2,000 as well. I'm sure they're at home watching her, and we're rooting her on.
Well, she'll be back, no question about that. A low-scoring affair in the semifinal. More than likely, though, you'll see some fireworks in the championship. A highly successful Pro-Am portion this week. Norman Atkins, the winner, and co-proprietors Leslie Petty and Judy Wong with a nice check worth, I think, $700 for Norman Atkins. So he had a nice time this week.
Great fun these two ladies are, I tell you. Judy roaming around with her camera all week, and Leslie working hard in the snack bar.
Well, they've done a marvelous job with the tournament here this week. Outstanding crowds all week long. A very sad note coming up on Sports Center. As soon as we are finished, the lead story, the death of Sugar Ray Robinson, one of the great boxers of all time. Bob Lee, Chris Berman standing by with the lead story there. So, unfortunately, bad news for sports fans all over the country. Aleta Sill, Cheryl Daniels left. Only two players in the Ebonite Thunderbolt Classic, as they vie for $7,000 and the championship. And Aleta has elected to start on the left-hand lane. Completely different ball reaction than what Tish Johnson had, and Aleta steps up and strikes quickly.
A completely different line, too, Denny. It looked like she was playing a little bit more inside, maybe around the second arrow with a little softer shelled bowling ball.
Well, she's been playing there all night, and she opens up with a strike, and you just get the feeling now, Leila, that Cheryl is kind of settled in and figured, hey, this is it. This is my night to win.
I think so, with especially with the way the last match went, when Tish just, couldn't hit the side of the building, as we'd say, and Cheryl having her problems in the first half of the match really got it together there in the last half, and she's coming out strong here. She wants this title. Very aggressive shot by Cheryl. And Aleta definitely has her hands full here.
Aleta Sill bouncing around from fifth to fourth, I should say, and took over the lead in the very last game, the position round game, when she beat Tish Johnson. Ooh, tough break. The 10-pin wiggles, had a notion, and stands firm.
Both the 5-pin and the 6-pin went into that 10-pin. See the ball reaction right here. Good strong shot, the 5-pin. Oh, the head pin bounces off. Everything hits that 10-pin, but didn't knock it over.
Looked like a traffic jam. The 5 and the 1 were trying to go with the 10. Neither one of them got the job done. Cross lane. Spare up for Aleta Sill, who is 14-6 when bowling in title matches. An outstanding record for her. She has 14 career titles. Bowling from the top seed position, we mentioned she has won 7 times and lost 5.
Aleta and Lisa both came out about the same year and just took the tour really by storm early.
A little bit of mixer on lane 11 as she strikes. One other footnote to that title match. She has bowled Cheryl Daniels before in the championship and obviously defeated her. Of course, one of the luxuries of the LPBT on ESPN, we bowl through the entire championship game with no commercial breaks. Oh, keep that speed up. It's through the nose. She needed a break and didn't get it.
6-7-10 split. It is makeable. She could slide the 6 into the 7. However, I think she's going to go for the count here. She still has the lead in the match. Except this pin count here did hurt her.
Well, she opts for the 9-pin count, and rather than continuing that string, she opens up in the 3rd, and Aleta Sill now leads by 5.
Here's a good angle as we see her covering the 6-10. In order to pick that up, you definitely need to be farther right of that 6-pin. Giving it more room. The 6-pin slaps the 10.
Well, she definitely went wider with that one, and this time it paid off. She suffered for that kind of shot in the past, though.
Yes, she had. She left the 7-10 when we saw her do that earlier.
But a clutch strike as she comes back again. Now, Aleta Sill working on a strike. If she doubles here, takes the lead by 15.
Oh, and we just saw a replay reversed as the 4-pin slaps the 7.
Oh, that was a nice break for Aleta Sill. That 4-pin, just the top of the 4-pin, I think, touched the 7 that time. It was a little late, but better late than never. Aleta Sill, 26 years of age, 14 titles already, number 2 on the all-time list, but she will go past Lisa Wagner now, and those two have been fighting back and forth. Got a little wide with that one and paid dearly for the shot in the 5th.
And this is Steve Zook, Aleta's grandfather, who started Aleta bowling back at the young age.
I know one thing. He is numero uno fan of Aleta Sill. He follows every single shot. And right now, he's probably got an upset stomach. She's going to give it a bit of a run.
Oh, nice try.
Cheryl Daniels sitting on the bench gets a break. She leads by 2. She's on a strike. If she doubles, she's up by a dozen.
Great matches, Denny, as they've been going back and forth.
First time we've seen the bucket jump up, and that ball went just a little longer than normal, and so she'll be tested now on the right-hand lane.
She did a combination of 2 things there, Danny. She not only increased her ball speed, but she sent it out a little farther to the right that time, too. Very difficult spare. Wanting to cover all of them, and she chops them.
Leaves the 5, and once again, the giveaway takeaway theory here in the championship game, and it's now a 10-pin lead that's swung back to Aleta Sill.
Actually not throwing the ball very hard at this spare, and it gave it too much time to hook by that 5.
Right back with a strike in the 6th, and she's got 4 strikes and 2 opens.
Aleta's really had a great 2 weeks out here, in spite of the fact she's having wrist trouble. She has tendonitis in her wrist, so she's not sure how much farther along our 9-week tour she's going to make it.
She has struggled with that wrist. This is an outstanding shot in the 6th, and you're right, I talked to her about it. She's been taking Motrin and also icing down that wrist, and she does have some inflamed tendons.
You can see here, it doesn't look like inflamed tendons through that shot. Just a lot of power there.
There is some pain involved. She also told me that what she plans on doing is taking off the final 2 weeks of the spring tour, and she'll have her hand put in a cast. They'll just let it stay isolated like that for as long as it takes to get prepared to bowl on the fall tour, as this one goes whistling by the head pin.
Well, it's definitely not fun to bowl with any type of injury like this, and a lot of the women have been able to overcome the injuries and come back. Robin Romeo came back from a very severe wrist injury in the past, so it can be done. She's trying to give it all she has right now. Ooh.
Anytime you leave the 1-3-6-9, you're asking for trouble. So an open in the 7th, and this seesaw championship game continues. Don't forget SportsCenter coming your way immediately following the finals of the Ebonite Thunderbolt Classic. Bob Lee, Chris Berman, lead story, the death of Sugar Ray Robinson.
Cheryl Daniels just has to feel that this match, this title, is determined to be hers.
Half hit of the 10, and boy, a double there would have gone a long way.
You know, a lot of time when the momentum of the match, Denny, as we saw earlier when her and Lisa were both bowling very good, it's very quickly paced. They could throw a lot of strikes, but now when people miss, it's easy to get up and keep the same momentum, even though it all slows down.
Plus, it does change, too. When it's for a championship, I think you might take a little more time with the spares, maybe a touch more time getting ready for each shot, especially if you've never won before like Cheryl.
You bet Cheryl's just trying to take a deep breath, take her time, take one ball at a time.
Well, I think the fans here are starting to get behind Cheryl a little bit. I think they all realize that it's been a long 9 years for her on the tour.
It's been a long 9 years, and it's within her grasp.
Tough customer indeed, though, this Aleta Sill. And if Aleta would strike out in the 9th and the 10th, the best of a possible 209.
A light mixer hit here. She gets a lot of pin action from this hit. About 5-6 on the deck. Very aggressive player, Aleta.
None of them left standing at the end. There you see graphically where this one stands. It's been back and forth since the opening frame. Can she double? Oh my, that is the double of a champion right there, answering the call. She now leads by a half dozen.
A very, very important strike there for Aleta. The 9th frame, the foundation strike. She has put all the pressure on Cheryl right there.
Boy, Cheryl went down that time. You could tell she knew she made the shot that she wanted to, and she leaves the solid 10.
A really good, aggressive shot by Cheryl. The 6-pin wrapping around the 10. Looking to convert the spare. And a little sigh of relief from some of the fans behind us, Denny.
Yeah, I think you sense that Cheryl has bowled a very solid game here. Made a couple of mistakes, but other than that, she's thrown a lot of classy shots. But she's bowling against a tough competitor, Aleta Sill. She may not be at her best right now, but she's tough. Just explode in the 10th, and for Cheryl Daniels now, if she throws 2 more strikes, she shoots 193, and that's what she needs to do.
Just a powerful shot here. Watch this 5-pin just blow into the 7-pin.
Another strike here, and changes the whole complexion for Aleta Sill in the 10th.
That time, but she got it.
Well, I think she'll look back on this one, regardless if she wins or loses, Lee Island, say, listen, I gave it my best effort. I struck in the 10th when I had to apply the pressure.
And the thing is, Denny, she is now doing it on lane 11. In the last 3 games, she has finished on the other lane.
Clutch performance for Cheryl Daniels. Now the burning question, will it be enough?
Cheryl Daniels wrapping up with a 193. Now
the scenario for Aleta Sill, she must strike in this situation.
Big shot here for Aleta.
And there it is.
9 years.
After 9 years of frustration, Aleta Sill hit the pocket, but Cheryl Daniels ends up in the winner's circle. And you can see they're enjoying the victory, and so is she. Cheryl Daniels, I think, it still doesn't realize that she has won. And so it's a sweet victory for Cheryl Daniels, who is all smiles right now after nearly a decade of finishing as the bridesmaid. And the round of applause is for Cheryl Daniels, the winner. And a very exciting championship. Bill Petty, the co-proprietor here, has a marvelous trophy for you. And also Beth Schoenberg of the Ebonite International Group with a check worth $7,000. And very quickly for you, Cheryl Daniels, what does it feel like after 9 years to end up with the check and the trophy?
It feels great. I can't describe the feeling. I mean, I thought it never was going to happen. It just feels great. And I'd like to thank Ebonite for sponsoring the tournament, for Bill and Frank Petty, the host proprietors here. I'd like to thank all the fans here and Mr. Chuck and Judy Wong. Just all the support. It just feels so good. And I just hope we're going to come back, forever. Hey.
For someone who has never won, you did a pretty good job of accepting there. So long, everyone. From Clearwater, Florida, the winner, her first championship, Cheryl Daniels. The championship round finals of the Ebonite Thunderbolt Classic on ESPN have been brought to you by Ebonite International, maker of the Thunderbolt for oily lanes and the new Thunderbolt MD for medium to dry lanes. And by Sharp Electronics. From sharp minds come sharp products. Next week, the Ladies Pro Bowlers Tour stops in Atlanta, Georgia for the championship round finals of the Lady Ebonite Classic, beginning at 10 p.m. Eastern Time live on ESPN.